to Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday. Saturday. It's not Saturday. I must be stuck in the weekend. But anyways, it's Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. As always, we're coming live from the Sirius Star System studios right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I hope all is well with everybody. So the first thing I want to get off is the Thanksgiving Homeless Clothes Drive coming up this Saturday. Please, guys, I want to first thank everybody who's been donating, because there has been a lot of donations by money and by clothes. Please keep them coming. I want to thank everyone who's donated so far. It really means a lot to us. Caleb and I have been working really hard on this drive. We have a ton of clothes, but we can always use more. We can always use more money to create those care packages of personal hygiene products and everything for people who really need it. So please donate. So remember that Thanksgiving is all about being grateful for what we have, and just remember, some of us have nothing. So it's wonderful that you have stuff, but remember that others don't. So please, even if it's just one shirt or one pair of pants or something like that, hey, we will take it. So all right, guys, one thing I want to talk about, and this is more on a personal subject, is that over the last couple of weeks, I've been being attacked by someone on social media. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I feel it's a very important lesson for a lot of people, especially people who want to get into helping business or the healing business or whatever. And sometimes we have people that we just can't help. And a long time ago, about 9 years ago, I tried to help someone for just a very brief, short amount of time, maybe at most 3 weeks. We only met maybe a handful of times, and I realized that sometimes that this person I just couldn't help. And sometimes you're going to run into that you just run into people that aren't just ready for help yet. This person had not the greatest attitude, and I found that for my personal that it was just that the person wasn't ready, and it was just time to move on. So recently I found out who it was, and if you've been on my social media, any of my social medias, you know that it's been saying the same message over and over, and it's been being attacked, lowering my ratings and everything like that. And just sometimes people, because they want someone to blame, will try to tear you down, and that's this type of business. This type of business is just full of people that will come to you, say they want help, and you can't help them. And it doesn't even have to end terribly or anything like that, but some people will just stay angry at you because they want someone to blame. And this is where you have to learn to be strong. This is where you have to learn who you are and know what kind of work you do and what kind of mindset that you have, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come after you. And in order for us to understand who we are, we cannot let people tear us down like that. So if you're on my social media and you're seeing people with the same screen, different screen names pop up and with the same message, please ignore it. It's just someone who is just going through a lot of anger and pain, and we want to send a lot of love and compassion to that person and hope that that person resolves their anger. So with that being said, we are live, or Caleb is live right over here. He's in our studio tonight. He is live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Periscope, and LinkedIn. He will chat up all your questions. So if you guys have any questions about the show or anything like that, please hit him up and he will relay them to me, and we will talk about them. As always, all the replays, instead of me saying the replays all the time, they'll just be listed in the link below. So all right, guys, with that being said, let's get into tonight's show, because tonight is a very, very important show. And why do I say that? Is because we as people, we are always trying to achieve this idea. And what is this idea? Is that everybody's a master. In our society today, everybody is gunning to be the top dog. Everybody thinks that they're the top dog or the master or the one that's going to change the world and revolutionize the world, the way we think, act, and everything. And we've become a society where we have closed ourselves off into that. And that's the problem with our society today, is that we believe that that we're the big chief. Everybody's trying to be the big chief. Everybody's trying to be the master, the top dog. And no one's really understanding. No one really believes that they have. Well, what they do believe is that they believe that they have more knowledge than everybody. So we have this idea that if we're the top dog and we're the master, the big chief, the head honcho, that we have more knowledge than everybody, and that makes us better than everybody. I see it constantly on social media. I see it constantly in the spiritual community. I see it in every type of workplace I've ever worked at. We are all in competition for each other. And especially in this type of work, if you're in a line of work of helping each other and you're trying to pose yourself as the top dog or the top healer and stuff, then you're really going about this line of work in a way that is detrimental to the field itself. Because when we look at this and we say, well, I'm a master, I'm a chief, I'm the head honcho, and that we titleize ourselves, and that creates all this chaos, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But one of the biggest problems we have in our society today is that we don't listen. Nobody listens anymore. Everybody has been conditioned to certain ideas, certain knowledge, and they have gained certain knowledge, and they believe, and they just, and our ears have gone off, and what we've heard is what we've done, and we're so busy trying to be a master that we don't listen to new information. Sadly, I've seen so many people fall under this trait, and it is one of the biggest things to being not a master. If you want to understand how to be a master, if you really want to develop into any sort of mastery, whether it be in the spiritual world, whether it be in the business world, whatever, you have to learn to listen. And that's one of the biggest things, because I don't know how many times I have conversations with people, and you can kind of see their eyes wandering off, or they're just not listening, or they start thinking about something, they hear something, they start thinking about something, or they hear something, they start thinking about what they want to repeat or what they want to say in response to you. And we're not listening to new information. In this day and age, we think we know it all. And that is a toxic sign for society. I don't know how many societies, if you've studied history, then you'll understand that every society that's gotten too big for their bridges, where they thought that they were unstoppable, they thought that they had all the knowledge, that they were, no one could touch them, they've all crumbled. Look at some of the greatest societies in our world, the Egyptians, Romans, Greeks, etc., Chinese, and you will find that everybody, once they got too big and they started doing this, then all of a sudden they fell because their ego got in the way. And this is happening here in America. I can't speak for any other country, and I never will, but Americans, this is happening to us right now. And this is very, very hard, because everybody is trying so hard. We have become a nation of corporation instead of a nation of people. And that is where we're going to doom ourselves, and we've been dooming ourselves, because honestly, when if everybody is competing, and I know in our spiritual community, I feel like whenever I get around spiritual people, I feel like if someone feels threatened by knowledge, then all of a sudden it becomes a competition. And it really shouldn't be like that, because we have to be able to understand that knowledge is for everybody, and knowledge should be passed on to everybody, and it's not a competition. You have to remember that there are so many people. There are 8.1 or 8.4 billion. I forgot what the number was. I know it used to be 7.4, but I forgot the number of billion people it was. But there's a lot of people in this world, and you cannot handle them all yourself. I can't handle them all myself. That would be insane for me to say that, oh, I'm going to teach everybody in the world. It's not going to happen. And for me to think that I have to be above everybody in order for me to teach people, then that just means my ego ego is involved. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to satisfy who we are inside by attaching ourselves to the idea that we're a master, or that we're the big chief, or whatever we want to call ourselves. We're trying to feed that ego. We're trying to evolve into something, or not evolve into something that we should be evolving into. And we're trying to make sure that we look important. And I really want to talk about that, because we talk about ego so much on our show. And it's very important, because our ego plays a important aspect in everything we do, whether it's the healthy side of the ego or it's the unhealthy side. But when we title ourselves something as a master or a guru, or whatever we want to title ourselves, even if we're in work, if we're throwing around, well, I'm the CEO, I'm the COO, whatever, and that it's because we're trying to make ourselves feel important. And this is really losing the value of what we're doing, especially in the spiritual world. We call ourselves, I've seen so many people call in the spiritual community, I've seen so many people brand themselves as a certain type of idea. And it's just a title, but that title is supposed to bring you something. Maybe you think that it's going to bring you some type of recognition, it's going to bring you some type of acknowledgement that you're looking for, or it might just be feeding that ego of looking important. And we have to remove ourselves from that, because what we're not understanding is that we don't understand what we're teaching, and we don't understand the information. Most of us that are going around teaching things is because we're chasing the idea of what it is we're trying to heal in ourselves. I don't know how many clients I've had in my years, and students even that have, and I sat there and I said, well, what do you want to do for you? Well, I want to help people. Well, why do you want to help? I don't know. And then as we got to get to know each other, and as I got to know my clients and students better, I realized it's always the same pattern. They want to help people because they need help themselves inside. And so they don't really understand. I say, okay, well, you want to help somebody. And I give out an example. I say, okay, well, let's help somebody. Let's take this idea. Let's take and I break down an idea, and I say, okay, well, tell me why this goes with this. And I can see that they say, oh, well, you need to do this and that, but they can't understand why you have to do that. And that's really one of the most basic things to understand. If you want to become a master at something, then you have to realize what you're teaching. You have to be able to understand what it is that you're teaching and be able to apply it. Because if you can, everybody understands 2 + 2 is 4, but in the spiritual world, if you want to really become a master in your trade or whatever you're doing, you have to understand why 2 + 2 = 4. Because if all you're doing is saying, oh, well, 2 + 2 is 4, and hey, I know 4 because I've heard it so many times and I've accepted that as truth, then it's really not mastering the idea. It's really not mastering the subject. What we're doing is we're just repeating what we're told. And excuse me. And many of us don't realize that we don't have the knowledge that we think we should. So we pretend that we have certain knowledge because we hear it. And I think that's honestly one of the biggest mistakes we do as humans. And it's natural. It's natural to be conditioned to what we hear. It's natural. It's natural for us to believe that what we know is true based on how we've been raised, based on our conditionings. So if we're in America, which is a predominantly Catholic and Christian, we believe in certain people believe in a certain God and a certain religion, not because it's true, but because they've been conditioned. You go over to China, they believe in Buddha why? Not because they believe it, because that's their tradition. They've been conditioned that way. And no matter where you go all over the world, depending on their culture, depending on what they've accepted as truth, is what they're going to be conditioned. So not necessarily is the knowledge true. It's just that we've accepted this knowledge as truth, and then we pass it on as truth because we've accepted it. And that's one of the hardest things to do, is because the knowledge that we have doesn't have to be true, or it doesn't have to have the truth behind it if we're passing it along just to feed our ego. So instead of understanding the knowledge, every one of us says, hey, nope, I've heard it so many times, I believe it to be true, and that's the way it's going to be. And so when someone comes with a new form of knowledge, or someone says, hey, this isn't isn't true, or maybe there's another way to do something, all of a sudden it's an instant rejection. And a master doesn't do that. A master is one that is open to somebody, and we'll get into that in just a second, but they're open to these. So if we're looking at ideas and just accepting things as truth just because we've heard it so many times and we're passing it on, that is not the way of a master or in anything, because a master or anybody who's good at their job or profession or anything that they do, even in life, they want to understand why. They don't want to know just because I've heard it so many times, like, hey, the law of karma. We've heard the law of karma so many times, but the truth be known is everybody who thinks the law of karma is going to go out and punish people because they've done something wrong or bad, or reward you because you've done something good, then they don't understand the idea of karma. And that's the idea that I'm saying. Just because we've heard something and accepted it as truth doesn't mean that it's true. So a master is someone that has the ability to be open-minded and open. So open-minded, they have to be open to new ideas. If you are truly going to master something, especially in spirituality, especially in your life, you have to be open to new ideas. You have to be open inside, and you have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to accept new ideas that you've never heard of, even if they've come to you. I grew up as a certain way, and I had guides and different guides telling me all the time that this is not the way that life actually is, that this is the way life is, and this is what I need to study, this is what I need to learn. And I had to meditate, I had to understand it, and it went against what I was taught here on earth, because I was taught that there was one God and it was a punishing God and all these different things. And then I was taught, well, no, the universe works this way. Well, the law of gravity works this, and in order for life to happen, it has to happen this way. And they're teaching me, no, life happens this way. And it was totally contradictory. And we're finding in quantum physics, if you study quantum physics, that it's blowing out the idea of natural laws in a lot of places. And so you have to be able to adapt. If you're not going to open up, if you're not going to have an open mind to new ideas, even if they contradict what yours is, then you're shot right in the dirt. Because a true master says, you know what? I have to look at this from a full perspective. I have to see every angle of this in order for me to gain a true understanding. I have to learn. I have to look at this and learn. I have to learn about myself. I have to learn about this idea. I have to learn about this project or this. That's how we master things. And we have to be resolved in ego. And that's what a true leader is. If you've ever met some of the greatest leaders in the world, no matter what the profession is, their ego is resolved when it comes to working with people, because they understand that it takes a team. They understand that it takes so much more than just themselves in order for them to achieve the goal. And that's the hardest part, especially if you're dealing in spirituality and yourself, and you're trying to master. We're always trying to look at this thing called enlightenment. And what is enlightenment? Well, we think of it as a mastery of life, a mastery of emotions. But if you're not resolved in this ego, if you're not able to look at things as is and accept things as it is and resolve your ego, well then there's no chance of you going to that idea of enlightenment. There's no chance of you going to that idea of being a master, because it's not going to happen. Think of it like school. If you want to graduate from school, you got to pass the test, right? In order for you to pass the test, what do you have to learn? You have to open the book, you have to read the material, you have to learn the material, you have to accept the material, figure out the material, and then you have to apply it to the test and apply it in life, right? So that's the same exact idea that we're thinking in the rest of the world. We're trying to understand this. We have to start learning to be open. We have to start learning to learn. We have to resolve our ego, and we have to accept things for the way they are. And if we can't, then we have to learn to accept those things. That's the hardest thing that we have to do. But we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. as we transform into more sentient beings. A new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. If you're just joining us, we're talking about everyone's a master. Yes, everyone in the world's a master. And that's the problem with what we're dealing with today, is that everyone is a master, or at least they think they're a master. And one of the things that we have to realize is masters aren't perfect. No master is perfect. And I think that's one of the hardest misconceptions for us to understand, is to realize that being a master means that that you know you're fallible, and that you know that you're not perfect, that you know that all of a sudden life isn't about, hey, I'm a master now, I'm enlightened, I'm never going to have an issue, I'm never going to have a problem ever again, I'm never going to get upset, I'm never going to have any emotion, I'm never going to have grief, it's all going to be perfect. We have this unrealistic idea of what masters are, what enlightenment is, what happiness is, what balance is. We think that it all leads to this thing called the light. We all think that it leads to being happy and at peace for the rest of and it doesn't work like that. We don't have halos around our head when you're a master. It just doesn't like that. I mean, I might have some horns over here or something like that, but halo, I don't think so. But you know, you have to take it as is. And masters don't call themselves masters. They don't. If you're going around self-proclaiming that you're a master and calling yourself that, I don't like the term guru. I don't like the term master. I don't like even calling myself a soul sage and a spirit guide. I do it because my guides have asked me to do it for understand, because we understand that people look at titles and they see things by recognition. But whether I call myself just Miss Raina or Miss Raina, the soul sage and spirit guide, it doesn't take away from the knowledge. It doesn't take away. And ask Caleb over here. If you guys ever run into Caleb, ask him how much I don't like those titles, and I don't like using them. Even when I did business coaching and everything like that, they were always pushing me to do stuff, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. It is not who I am, and these things do not make me credible. What makes me credible is what I do, and that's what we have to be able to do. And you know what? I'm not perfect. No person is perfect out there. Caleb's not perfect. I'm not perfect. My mom, my dad, nobody in the world is perfect. We all have issues. When we're incarnated here in life, we all have issues. We all have emotions. We all have things that we have to work on, but we learn how to develop a sense of self and determining how we're going to handle it. That's how you work towards being a master. If you truly want to be a master, then stop trying to be a master. It sounds like an oxymoron, but you can't. If you want to be a master, stop trying to be a master, because the more you try to be something, especially in the spiritual world and with your life, the further away you're going to do. Stop trying to control it. Stop trying to chase the ego and be number one and all this stuff, and just let yourself be you, because a true master has the ability to see things. They have foresight. They have the ability to see things. They have the ability to see who they are. They have the ability to recognize what's going on. And just today, I made a mistake with what's going on, with the situation that I was talking about with the person that I was dealing with. I thought it was somebody else. I did, and because I had issues with this particular person in the past, and I thought, well, it's got to be them because they're acting like this again, and it was pretty close, and I was wrong. and that happens. But I had the foresight to say, you know what, this could be somebody else, so let's not jump the gun, let's not totally blame this person, let's see what pans out, let's keep all options open, and let's see how I'm reacting to the situation. Because I started seeing that even I started to get upset and saying, oh, it's got to be, and I said, nope, let's back up, it could be a possibility. So you have to see you have to have a foresight of seeing everything that's around you, everything that you're experiencing, and process the information that is happening so that you can understand the experience. That's one of the most important parts. If you cannot process the information that you're experiencing, then you don't understand it and you're falling apart. That is why I tell you that it's so important, even though our emotions aren't real. That's why I tell you it's so important for us to understand what the data from our emotions that are coming. Because if we're just going to be these emotionally reactive people all the time, then you're not processing. You're not having the foresight to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm becoming emotionally reactive right now. Why am I experiencing them? What's going on around me that's causing this? And how can I process this information differently so that I can understand it? And that's the true side of becoming that master. And honestly, throw that title away. Please throw those titles, the big chief, the master, whatever you want to call yourself, guru, whatever, COO, CEOs, whatever. Throw those titles out, because all those titles mean is that you're chasing the ideas. If you want to truly master who you are, your life, your emotions, everything else, or master a trade or master, then you have to be able to do that. If you're sadly, so many of us, especially in the spiritual community, are chasing fame and money and even in the world, that's all our society has become. America has become corporate. All it cares about is money and fame. It cares more about sports, like touchdowns and championships, than it does about helping humanity. I mean, if I offered two funds and I said, oh, you got to help this fund in sports, or you got to help these people, I guarantee you the sport fund would blow it out of the water. And because I've done something similar, and I work with charities, I work with that, and I understand more people care about fame and money than anything. And if you're one of those people that are chasing that, or maybe you're laughing, I see this all the time on social media, where I belong to groups that are supposed to have spiritual, intellectual conversations. And if you say something, there's always got to be somebody that knows more than you. And there's always got to be people that are laughing at you and putting you down and telling you that you're wrong and that you're an idiot. Well, I'm sorry, people. Those people, and if you're listening and you do this, you're further away than you think, because true masters, true enlightened people, true people with knowledge don't act that way. They see things from a different perspective, and they realize, hey, everybody's trying their best, and wherever they're at in their evolution, that's where they fall to. That's it. And that's all they can comprehend. Just like right now, those people that are laughing, they think they're so much better and smarter than everybody else. But even in their own evolution, they're farther behind than they think, but they don't understand that. So for people that can see that, they have to have compassion for those people, just the same way that you would have compassion for somebody else. Because all of us, every one of us, has limited consciousness when we come here. So if you think that you're this enlightened master being that, but you're chasing all these things, then we have issues. And we have to start looking at who we truly are. So one of the things that I always ask myself and ask students and clients and stuff, and anybody who asks this topic is, why do you want to become a master? And truly I feel it's for the allure of it. I think it's for the gratification, the acknowledgement. Sometimes, yes, we want to be acknowledged for all our hard work and everything, but I really think it's more for the title. I think it's more for the glory, because like I said, a true master isn't going to call themselves a master. They're not going to call themselves these things. Maybe other people will, but even them, they'll say, no. call me this, call me that, because they don't want to be called that. In other countries, they laugh at a lot of the things we call, and not in a making fun of way, but in the sense of saying, well, why do you need those titles? Why do you need these ideas? Because they don't need those ideas. They don't care who's the best, who's the smartest, who knows more. They all work cohesively, and that's one of the things. But you gotta learn that a lot of times when we're trying to be a master, we're trying to do these things, we're chasing the idea of self-love. If the title of master gives us that self-love, because if we're a master, then people are going to love us, they're going to respect us, they're going to care for us, and that means I'm something. That means I feel loved. No, there's nothing that's going to love you more than self-love. And so I tell yourself, if you can honestly look at yourself and say, you know what, I am chasing this idea. I'm trying to be number one in my field because I'm chasing this. There's nothing wrong with success, and there's nothing wrong with trying to be the best you can be. But when you're trying to be better than everybody and trying to put a title over you so that you can be the teacher to teach everybody because nobody knows as much as you, then yes, you're definitely looking at things because you're chasing self-love, and you're trying to get respect and people to care for you. And the idea of master will not solve your problems. It actually exacerbates. It gives you more. Like today we were talking about. It's not the first time I've had people come and attack me for no reason. Sometimes complete strangers. Sometimes people listen to something that they don't like what I say, and that's perfectly fine. Not everyone has to agree with everything that I say. I'm not trying to make you do that. I'm just trying to give you food for thought. That's all. But if you think it's going to solve my no, people attack me all the time and say you don't know what you're doing, you're a phone, whatever, and that's because they're trying to work through their issues and they're trying to target me. So more problems, and people expect you to constantly be on the ball. No matter how sick I am, no matter how hurt I am, people always come to me for their problems and issues. And I'm happy to help whoever I can, but no matter where. And ask Caleb over here, he sees it. I mean, if I'm in the hospital for a heart condition, when I had that, I had doctors talking to me to 3-4 o'clock in the morning, talking about life and their issues and how, well, I'm hooked up to monitors and everything. I get out of an accident, people are coming up to me, I'm wheeling in on crutches, and that's so this title, this idea of knowledge and everything comes with a lot of responsibilities. And are you really ready for that responsibility? Because if you're not, and you're just seeking attention to feel important, then because if you're the master and everyone needs you, then you're setting yourself up for something that you don't understand. Because people's life, this is serious. Like for me, and Caleb will tell you, anybody that knows me, my friends, Leanne, Maritza, Stacy, Denise, anybody will tell you that what I do, I take very seriously, because I understand that these are people's lives. These are people's problems. And even if they seem small to me, I understand where they're at that moment. They're big to them. And you have to respect that. And to me, this position is very honorable. You have to take it with honor. You have to be one that respects who's in front of you, the knowledge you have, and be open to gaining more knowledge, and not just saying, well, I have a bunch of knowledge and that makes me better and that's what I'm going to teach No, knowledge advances. If you think that we know everything about the world and the universe, then you're way off, because even things and ideas that we understand now evolve as we evolve. And if you're not willing to understand that, then you don't understand what it truly takes to be a master. It's gritty work, people. It really is. It's down to the bone, burned to the core, gritty work. And I get it. A lot of people sometimes have, or I shouldn't say a lot of people, a few people have an issue with my with the program sometimes, because it's tough, because it's gritty work. In order for us to heal, in order for us to resolve our problems, we got to face our problems. We got to go head to head with it, almost like a boxing match. You got to box your problems and fight them, and really understand that with compassion and love. And it's hard. It's hard work, because that means working on yourself too. In order for me to understand clients and people around me, students, I have to constantly understand myself and my relationship with them. I have to constantly adapt and try new things, because it's not one size fits all. And people don't understand that. And a lot of times, you have to surrender your ego to all your human needs. Hey, I've given up relationships. I've given up my family. I've given up my place I live. I had a business that was waiting for me to take over. And because I knew this is the path I was meant for, I had to give up. Sure, I could be living the high life right now, having a very successful HVAC company, living in Chicago, probably having a family or what, who knows? But I had to surrender all my human needs, all my ego and everything for the good of what we're doing. And that resolve is over everything. That means that even my personal life, of course, I'm number one, and I have to take care of my health and my mind, and I have to make sure I have private time and everything, because in order for, but I had to surrender, and you have to surrender. If you want to master anything, whether, like I said, whether it be work or whether it be spirituality or life, emotions, whatever it is, your problems, and that, you have to surrender all your human needs, because those human needs are clouding the judgments of what's going on. And like I said, when your emotions and your needs get the better of you, absolutely. Earlier today, I for the last couple of weeks, I was being attacked. I was trying to figure it out, and I started having this emotion coming up. It started clouding my judgment on things. And so I had to start pulling it back in and saying, okay, don't let it get out of control. Don't let your human emotion, don't let your ego and your needs get the better of you, because you have to see things from a perspective. And that's what a master does. That's what the big chi, whatever you want to call it, does, because you have to be able to see yourself in that perspective. And let me tell you, people, this work and anything that when you're helping people, it's a thankless job. Sure, you get your occasional people that say, hey, hey, thank you, but you don't do it for the thanks. You do it because that's what because you know that people need the help, and you know that you were once there too. But most of the people aren't going to thank you. Most of the things that you do are behind the scenes. They don't even know what you do. If you think that this work is all I do, is I create a radio show every week, or a podcast, whatever you want to call it, and that's it, and then it is a 24-hour thankless job, and that's okay. I'm good with that, because I chose that. And that's what the people who are trying to master something understand. They understand that they have to put in the grit. They have to understand that they have to put in a lot of hours behind the scenes, and they have to accept it. They don't want to accept the title of master, and it's like, because there's always something to learn. There's a lot of dedication. There's a lot of things that you have to understand. So one of the things that I want to talk about, because there's this idea of the 10,000 hour rule, and everyone thinks that in order for you to master something, you have to put in 10,000 hours. And yeah, maybe in certain professions, hey, 10,000 hours, good to go. We do it. But in life, no. Maybe 10,000 lives, maybe in 100,000 lives, maybe there's the 100,000 life rule or something, but not when it comes to yourself or your emotion. It is always a life commitment. It is always changing. It's a 24-hour job, but you can apply. I was looking up these rules, and and Caleb was looking up these rules, and we were talking about them, and I said, well, you can apply some of these ideas to life. And so what I did was I took these rules, and I said, well, which ones do I like? And so what the 10,000 hour rule, if you don't understand it, is it basically says that in order for you to master something, you have to have 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. So you have to do something for 10,000 hours, and then you become a master. And I don't agree with that, because hey, you can do something for 10,000 hours and still not get it. You can do something in 1,000 hours and get it and understand it. It depends on who you are. So again, it's to your adjustment. But some of the key points that I liked about this was that is that whether it's business or life, is that one of them was identify what you want to accomplish. And I love that, because in anything you do, if you want to master your life, if you want to master your emotions, your problems, if you want to become a master sensei, if you want to become a master bike rider or whatever, you have to identify what kind of goals that you want to accomplish. You got to pick the goal and the skill that you want to accomplish, that you want to achieve. That's the first thing. You can't just say, I want to become a master and not know what you want to do. If you want to master your emotions, well, what part of the emotions? What gives you the most problems? If you want to help people, well, how do you want to help people? What do you have to do to get there? Well, the first thing I have to do to help people is I have to help myself. I have to have resolve. I have to resolve myself. I have to resolve my issues before I can help someone else. Sadly, in the helping world, in the spiritual world, in the light worker world, there are so many people that have not helped themselves and resolved their issues. And they're going out there trying to say that they can help you, and they haven't helped themselves. So the first thing you have to do is identify what it is you want to accomplish. Pick a goal, pick small goals, and start small, and then build to that idea. The second one I liked out of this list was accept your current experience level. And the reason why I love it is because this is where everybody messes up. To me, this is the most important step, because everybody thinks that they're so much farther than they really are. And the hard truth is to look at yourself and say, you know what? I'm not as far as advanced as I thought I was. Maybe I don't understand things as much as I do. Maybe in this field of work, maybe I'm not as good as I did. Hey, you know what? I know I'm getting older in sports. I used to be able to hit home runs left and right and score touchdowns. I'm getting old. I'm beat up and stuff. And I have to understand that my experience level, even though it's high, my current situation and current thing is changing, and I have to adapt to that. So if I'm going into a new field, or if I'm trying to do something, maybe it's time we look at ourselves and say, you know what? Yeah, I have to accept I'm really here. Even though I thought I was here and I want to be here, I really have to accept this is where I am. Because if you're unwilling to accept where you're at currently, then you already have built a house on a poor foundation. You've already decided to put up the wood frame without putting in the concrete foundation. So, all right, guys, we'll be right back after these messages from I Am Evolution.
The human experience is changing, and consciousness is evolving into something higher than any of us could ever imagine. As we transform into more sentient beings, a new world of connected consciousness is taking place. Welcome to I Am Evolution, the movement in human development that transforms the human experience into a deeper consciousness through perspective and duality. Are you ready to be a part of the next stage in human evolution? Call I Am Evolution today to schedule your appointment at 561-318-0006. That's 561-318-0006. Or email us at iamevolution@protonmail.com.
All right, everybody, we are back. If you're just joining us for the last part, we are talking about everyone's a master. Excuse me. So when we were talking about accepting our current experience, we must recognize that we really do. We have to, in order for us to see where we truly want to go, we have to recognize where we're at. The third one is that I liked the best was determine how you learn the best. Excuse me. And this is very important. My throat's scratchy for some reason, but this is how you learn. Determine how you learn the best. This is important because this understands our experience level. This is how, like, I'm one of those that are a very visual learner. If I do something or see something done, I got it. It sticks. Perfect. If I I could read a book this thick, and it could explain in every detail how to do that same thing. But I could never get it because my brain doesn't comprehend reading the way it does seeing things. So if I try to approach something as I'm reading it, then it's going to make my goals harder. It's going to make what I want to accomplish harder. And that's going to push me back. That's going to frustrate me. That's going to make me feel like I'm not accomplishing and doing what I want. So you have to learn how to determine how you learn best. Because if you're saying, hey man, I learned this way, this is what I'm doing, and I'm going towards it, I'm going to evaluate that way, then that's best. When I was learning Oriental medicine school, I recorded the classes all the time. And when the teachers, and I was paying attention, listen, but when the teachers did and I did, I learned it instantly. But when they were up there for 4 or 5 hours talking, I was like, what's going on? Because my mind doesn't work that way. And so I wasn't going to try to fight it and say, oh, I got to learn this way. I just understood, as long as I paid attention and understood some of it, I could apply it once I saw it done. And once I saw it done, it stuck like glue. The fourth one I liked was focus on learning. And this is also important because when we're focused on learning, like a particular lesson and goal, so a particular lesson or goal, this is very important for us because we have to be focused on learning what it is to get to that idea. So let's take meditation, for example. If we've realized that we all want to meditate, we want to get to be these big meditations so we can download all that information and reach the Akashic records and do all that stuff. In order for you to get to that point, you have to learn to meditate. So what's the most important part about meditating? Well, to learn to breathe and to learn to relax. To focus on the basics is the ultimate goal. Because if you can't meditate, then you can't get to that point of reaching in new information. So you have to focus on learning the particular lesson or goal. In this case, the particular lesson or goal would be to learn to breathe and relax. That's the most important. Everybody gets frustrated after a week. Oh, I can't meditate. Well, how long did you try? I tried for a week. Well, first of all, it takes about 2 to 3 months for you to get one somewhat successful meditation. But that's because they're trying to do too many things. Learn to breathe and relax. Learn to breathe and relax, and it'll happen faster. But that's just the idea that we're talking about. The last one that I liked was setting manageable goals on a daily basis too, because so many of us, we want to be the healers, so we want to start a YouTube channel and a podcast, and we want to do videos, and we want to do all these different things, and we want to go out and be the big CEO and everything like that. But we don't set manageable goals. We all try to do 10,000 things at once instead of setting small, manageable goals. We don't break things down. We don't do short-term goals to accomplish that. People who are successful understand that. One of the things that I really want to talk about, because I know we got like 15 minutes left, but one of the things I really want to stress is quality over quantity. And that is self-explanatory, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. It is so important for you to understand that it's quality over quantity. It is more important to have quality work, quality meditations, quality goals, quality work towards your goals than quantity. If you're trying to be one of those people, and I know these people, and they got all these lists and all these calendars, and the calendar tells them that they can only do this time from this work, from this time to this work, and then they got to move on to this, and then they got to do this, they got lunch break here. They're trying to do quantity over quality because they think that the more that they do, the more successful they're going to be, and the greater they're going to be. And this is totally backwards. It is quality over quantity. If you do quality work, and you don't rush to go through it, and you learn it, because when you do quantity, you're not learning anything. You're just trying to get things done. I know people who study quantity just to learn the test. They memorize a bunch of stuff just to learn the test, and then after the test is over, it goes out the window, and later on in the semester, they can't remember it because they didn't do quality. So if you're trying to do quality, take your time, develop those qualities. A real master or a real person who is a mastery at their profession or life or whatever takes their time. They understand that they have to work on themselves. And that's the hardest thing. Is to understand that it takes time for you to work on yourself. It takes time for you to resolve your problems. It takes time. If you think someone's going to wave a magic wand in 6 months, if you have a coach out there that says 6 months I can fix you, run away from them. 8 months, 3-month program, guarantee you, we're going to do a knockdown, drag out super session, and that, boom, then run away, because they are just trying to make money off you. They're trying to just make themselves. No one can fix you in 3 months. No one can fix you in 6 months. The only person that can people can teach you things. Even me, I can help teach you things. I can't fix you. I can teach you what I know and help you learn to apply it to your life. But if you don't do it and you don't learn it, then it's not going to get fixed. And that's why I never promise anybody. You never hear me say, 3 months, I'll fix you. Come to my 6-month program, I'll fix you. When people say, hey, how long does it take to work with you? I say, I don't know. It depends on how long you're willing to stay, because it depends on how much you're willing to work. And that's the truth of the matter. I will never promise anything, anybody anything, because I honestly don't know. It depends on you and what you're willing to do and how long you're going to fight things in order for it. And if you're going to do quantity over quality, if you do quality work over quantity, then you're going to be more successful. Think of it like, I know you guys like the Karate Kid, not the 2001, but the original 1984, right? With Mr. Miyagi, Daniel-san. But what did he do? He couldn't understand that Mr. Miyagi was teaching him quality over quantity. He's like, well, you only taught, like, at first he thought he was just doing chores. Then once he learned that he was doing karate, then he's like, but I only know so much. And what did he say? It's quality over quantity. If you have more quality skills than quantity, and you master those quality skills, you're better off. And he hardly had any skills compared to half these other people, and he beat them all. Sure, it's a movie, I get that, but it's still the same concept that's true in life. If you master these skills and quality over quantity, you're going to be able to do that. Because what's going to happen is that you're going to understand. You're going to start seeing these choices or your habits coming up. You're going to start seeing it as you're working through things, because your choices and your habits are really who make you who you are. Your choices and your habits are the sum of who you are. So if you're a person who wants quantity, then your choices are going to be, well, I'm going to be flaky. I don't want to do the work. I don't understand. I want it now without understanding, because I'm chasing more the idea of being liked and being famous or being well known. And they don't understand that it takes time to build things. And those are the same people that are going to promise you to fix you and do all these things. Hey, spend a day with me for $10,000. And right there, anybody that tells you to spend a day with them and they can promise you all this stuff, especially for high amounts of money, you need to run, because no one should be doing that. That is insane. I don't know if they do that in other countries, but that's very popular here in America, and it's always $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Like I'm sorry, but if I'm spending the day with someone for $30,000 and all they're giving me is some knowledge, like 8 hours of knowledge, to me that's just insane. And I would never charge that much. I would never do that. And I'm not going after anybody or anything like that, but if I had worked hard for my money, I would not hand it over to somebody that much money in one day. It just wouldn't happen. And then them promising that they could fix me or give me a lifetime experience in one day, it's not realistic, people. So stop falling for that. You have to build that foundation. The foundation is just going to be that weak, and you have to understand that that patience and understanding, a deep understanding of those situations, has to come in order for you to build. If you truly want to be this master and you truly want to be the one that everyone comes to you, then you have to learn this stuff, and you're unwilling to learn this stuff. If you're looking around and saying, well, I have no clients, why aren't they coming to me, why isn't this going? Well, that's probably because you've turned your spirituality into a business, and you're coming across as business instead of trying to help people. People get that. When people are looking for help and you're trying to sell them all the time and promising stuff, they see that. And that's what's happening a lot here in America. if you change your choices, then it changes and affects your habits. If you, a master and someone who's in control of themselves, always understands that the choices always affect their outcomes in life. And if you can't relate, if you can't understand that I'm doing this and I'm constantly doing this and I'm constantly getting this result, and it's not the result that you like, then you're not mastering what it is you're looking at. You're not mastering who you are in the actual thing. You're just doing what everyone else tells you to do, thinking it's going to bring you success. And this is one of the biggest follies that I see in our world, because no matter in life or work or whatever, this is what happens, is we don't understand that our choices are affecting our life, because our choices become our habit. If we're constantly choosing the same thing, that's what we call a habit, right? And so of course it's going to affect the outcomes of our life. And if we're dealing with the same outcome and we're unwilling to change our choices, then our habits will never change, and thus we just in this endless cycle. So you have to understand that. And that's the same with dealing with our issues. How many times do I say that when we're dealing with anger and jealousy and emotions, anything? If you're not willing to put in the work and change your choices, then you're stuck this way. And that's why, again, I say I never promise anybody anything when they work with me, is except for that I will teach them what I know and help them try to learn. But if they refuse to make those choices and they refuse to try to learn, then I can't help them. And that's not my fault. And so you have to be able to understand that a master is able to see that. A master, when you work with people, is able to understand and focus on those choices and say, you know what, those people aren't ready to hear things with. Those people aren't ready for this. Oh, these people are ready. Let's work with them, because they're able to see those foresights and able to see what goes around them for a bigger perspective. And they have to be able to do that. It's not about the perfect choices, people. It's not. It's about knowledge. It's about gut instinct. It's about what feels right in that moment. There are many times, sometimes our guts are wrong. My gut's wrong sometimes. Hey, it was wrong just this past couple of weeks. And that's okay, because our gut sometimes and our mind gets clouded by our judgments. And that happens. But it's about the knowledge of who we are and what we're willing to learn, what feels right in the moment. If you're someplace and with somebody or doing something, and at first it feels right, but then it doesn't feel right anymore, well, then don't be afraid to make those choices. Don't be afraid to, because a true master or a true person that masters their profession doesn't hold on to attachments. They don't hold on to ideas, people, places, jobs. They don't hold on to any of that. They just see things for what it is. They're in the moment. And when it does, and it's not working anymore, they say, you know what? It's time to go. It's time to be done. It's, let's move on to a different situation. They're not afraid to be able to make choices and make changes in their life. And that's how we know. So, all right, guys, there is a lot more things that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to create a session show for this, and I'm going to talk about the last part of this, because there's a lot of stuff I still really wanted to cover. I wanted to cover things that a master has to have. So I'm going to do an extra special session show for this week, and so you'll probably have 2 of them for this week. But that's what we're going to do. So, all right, guys, let me get my little pad, and if I can't knock it out of my hand, I almost did. But all right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. If you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free to email me at Transcendental Transformation. If you're not already a part of our social media, make sure you hit us up on our Facebook at facebook.com/Transcendental Transformation. Our YouTube is Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. Visit my website, soulandspiritguide.com, and sign up for the newsletter to receive hidden shows, VIP access, and special guest offer when we had everything. And like I said before, if you guys have really enjoyed this show and there's anybody that you can think of that can benefit from any of these shows, please pass them on. The only way we can help people is by you guys helping us to help people. This costs nothing. We're not asking anything from you other than just pass our show along, and we'd greatly appreciate it. And always remember to believe in yourself, and it's not our abilities or our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.